All right, let's jump into it. Had a lot happen since our last video earlier last week. Um, kind of interesting. I think we were talking, may have been this day back here. Was that last Sunday, maybe? Maybe I did a video on this day. I can't remember. But anyway, we we broke out of our channel here, as you can see, late last week on Thursday and Friday. We dropped off of a green day up here. We had this candle up here, which I thought we had a chance of possibly going higher and getting up to our trend line, but we dropped pretty much right off of this green, which I did not like seeing. Although the moving averages, as you can see, were kind of crossing over, even though we got a green candle. I thought maybe we get maybe a little bit more of an upper wick, maybe break the high of this candle and then come back down, but they opened sold off, and this was on Thursday, which was really not kind of what I wanted to see. I was hoping we would get a setup to roll over, because I had some pretty big size short, from this candle, and had a stop up above the previous day candle on the green, but they came up and stopped it out, dropped it back down, and then the next candle they just dumped it. So that was kind of sad that we couldn't get like a better setup last week to drop off of. And now, as you can see, we've broken out of this channel that we've been in for almost 2 months now. Yeah, this is almost 2 months of time in here, and we just now kind of broke out of there and closed below it, got another day below it, and then we've been kind of, this weekend, we didn't have too much price action going on, but 2 red days. And today on Monday, they're doing their Monday pump thing again, where they just pump off of a red, and now we're into the moving averages, and this could be where we set up in here, get our next setup daily candle sometime this week to dump off of and get our big move down. I mean, we've broken out of this channel. Everything looks good here. Up off of a red, we know that's not right, because we were down off a green, so that's why we didn't just dump here, is because when you drop off of a green candle, usually you're going to at least need to, chop sideways, a few days, and I think that's what we're getting right here. We may get a green close today, and then hopefully tomorrow we'll get, maybe a red reversal with a higher high. Or maybe we drop this candle before today's close and get like an inside close, and then that will be a unicorn short, but we'll have to see. We're getting this pop today also because we're getting our upper wick on the new weekly, 2-week, and 3-week candles. So that's good to see, that we're starting to come up, on our new weekly candles and have a little bit of an upper wick, which is good. And we'll look at that here in a second. But yeah, I mean, this little red trend line is another trend line I have drawn, kind of like a last resort area. And as you can see, this weekend we closed below it. And now our moving averages are touching our newest daily candle. So, I mean, if this candle goes from green to red by tonight's close, I'm going to short it with monster size. Like I'm going to put on a lot of size short with Bitcoin now that we've broken out of our channel and we have a red reversal with the daily moving averages rolling down. I will put on size. So if this is a red candle by today's close, I've already got a little bit short right now. I'm a little bit weary of like the new weeklies opening. So a lot of times when new weekly candles open, you will get a little pump up. I will also target this yellow trend line right here as like a back test. So like we break out. Oops, let me undo that. So we break out of this, and then usually we get a back test and then set up to dump. So will this be enough today with this upper wick we got? Will this be considered the back test before we set up and dump? It'll be interesting to see. I mean, we're talking hours now. I no longer think it's just days. I think it's just a matter of hours before we're getting this big move down to, low 50s, mid 40s. I think that's where we're going with Bitcoin. I've said that all along, and I still believe it. It's there. And now we can look at our weekly candles. Give me 1 sec. Let me check this real quick. Okay. All right, let's zoom in here. And let's turn off the trend line so it's not such a mess so we can see here. All right, let's see. Zoom in. Okay, this is our weekly candle that we got. Or, we got a reversal candle here, very bearish candle, which led to last week's, we got a big wick up, and now it's kind of like an inverse hanging man style candle. Still pretty bearish. However, only concerning thing to me here is the 8 is above the 10 here, which I don't like seeing. So it makes me wonder if we will come up a little bit to the 8 and then pull down. So the 8's sitting right now right at around 70,000, right on the dot. So will we come up to about 70,000, tonight, tomorrow, sometime early this week, and then start to sell down from there? That could be a really good target, as a high for this week is right around 70K. We don't have any lower wick on the current weekly. Like, there's nothing there. We just open pumped, which is good. I like that to get our upper wick. Now we should come down this week. It's just a matter of how much higher do we need to come up to these moving averages before rolling over. We already have a pretty good size upper wick for this week. We came up to the body of the previous candle, which actually looks really good. So, I mean, we're good to drop, now if we want to. Like, great on a weekly standpoint to drop. That's what I like to see. The 2-week is super bearish. Like, this is really nice. Like, our 2-week candle is like a huge indicator of us dropping. Like, we get our drop here, we chop, here come the moving averages rolling down. We dropped off of a green, interestingly enough, up here, dead flat on top, but the moving average was rolling down, and then we dumped here, and now we're kind of doing the same thing where we dump, and then we're chopping. Here come the moving averages. Now the 2-week is sitting up kind of high, the 8 EMA. That's up at 74,900, so let's call it 75K. I don't necessarily think we need to come all the way up there. I think we are just good to drop. This is a really bearish candle to drop off of. This last 2-week candle we got. Very bearish candle. It's got a higher high than the previous 2-week. So, I mean, we've got the red 2-week to dump off of here. Like, this is a really good candle to do it. Great 2-week. 3-week is very interesting, and I'll show that. We actually ended up getting a green. It's still a bearish candle, but it's actually kind of interesting because this is Bitcoin USDT. On Bitcoin USD, we actually got a red inverse hammer, and it's a unicorn looking candle. I think even though this 3-week is green, I still think we're going to drop off of it. I mean, here come the moving averages rolling down. I don't think the high of this candle will get broken at 76K. I think we're going to stay below it. And I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to chop this another 3 weeks. I just doubt it. I mean, our 2-week looks like it's ready to go. So I think sometime in the next 2 weeks we are getting that dump, and I think it'll actually be sooner than that. I mean, this 2 week says we're dropping now, like within the next 13 days, 8 hours. Like we're going, and we're going to break that low, and we should see a big move down. Our 2-week is so bearish, and even though this is a green 3-week, and I can show it on another Bitcoin pair. It's actually a red. It looks good to drop here. I mean, we're seeing that we're gonna get our drop pretty much any time now. Like it should be very soon. I mean, this 3-week now closes in 20 days, 8 hours, but I think with that 2-week and that weekly candle, I think we're good to drop this week. We're good for it. All the candles are there. Here's what's interesting though. If we go to our monthly is green right now, and it's actually been kind of with all the news and everything, it hasn't been that wild of a month. It's been like a small candle. I really want to see this, and this closes in 1 day, 8 hours. So tomorrow at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Central Time, we're gonna get this close, and I really want this to be a red candle, like inside red with the moving averages rolling down. It's gonna be a unicorn short for April, like should be a beautiful short going into April if this can close red. Like it'll be perfect. I mean, even if it's green like this, it's still like a a small green inside candle. Yes, you can pump off of it, but I doubt you're going to get up too far with these moving averages rolling down. I don't know. Like it'll be a little bit tougher to read. It'll be so much easier if this is a red candle. And I still think, regardless, if this is a green monthly, could we drop down to our targeted areas and then maybe pop up before the end of the month is here and get like an inside body candle with a long lower wick, like hammer style candle? That could look good if we want to come back up and go higher. And we'll kind of see. Like it's always interesting when you drop off a green. Sometimes those moves don't sustain to the downside. You will come back up eventually, especially if you're dropping off of green candles. So, but I would really like to see this be red, and it'll be gorgeous. Like I said, this closes in 1 day, 8 hours. So, there maybe we drop, tonight, tomorrow, get this red, and then maybe we get a little retrace to start the new monthly candle just to get that upper wick, and then maybe chop sideways a few days into April and then dump it, and then we're good to go. And hopefully it's like probably like the end of this week. It's pretty much all there. Let's go look at the daily. So the daily, we're dead flat on the bottom, which I like to see. If we are going to come down. Here we are chopping sideways, getting our upper wick for the new weeklies. Let's check out the 2-day. Up off of a red. This closes in 2 days. So now that we've come up close to the moving averages, will we come back down, get a red, 2-day, and then dump off of it? We'll see. So I mean, I like what I'm seeing. We've got 2 days left on this green hammer. I think we're going to come down, and I don't think this will stay like this. Although if this does come up and gets a green in 2 days, then I think it'll be a trap. So like if we came up and on Wednesday, I believe it closes Wednesday, if we get this big green hammer, here's the moving averages. I don't think we're going to get up off of that, just because of how the 10 is way above the 8 and everything's kind of rolling down here. I think that would be a trap candle, and we would end up breaking down off of that. But if that does close Wednesday, then that takes us into Saturday night, to get a new 3-day close. So I don't know if they're going to hold it out that long, but it'll be interesting to see. I want to see this, maybe that's good enough for an upper wick on the 3-week. I mean, I think it's come up pretty good ways. I think we can just sell now. But it's been such a choppy market recently. You can see up, down. I mean, look at this: red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green. Green, red, red, green. Like it's been so freaking choppy in here on the 3-day candles. Like it's just been impossible to trade a lot of this. The only thing that looks good is that we've broken that trend line. This yellow trend line, we've closed below it with a big strong candle, and we're getting a new retrace on our new 3-day candle. But I mean, I think this is the indicator telling us that, hey, we've broken this pattern, and we can continue on to the downside. I mean, it looks good. It looks good, and we actually had a unicorn 3-day up here that sent us on our way. And this is interesting too, because this is what I'm kind of thinking is like, will they do something like this? So if you look at this 3-day candle, it's green and they drop it off of it. So like this is the trap I'm talking about. So you start to sell down, you get a beautiful looking red 3-day, the 8's crossing the 10, You know, everything's kind of tight in here. Nothing's really rolled over the 20 yet. And then the next 3 day, they drop it down and then rally it all the way back up and then close green like hanging man, almost hammer style candle, very small, tiny body. And this was a trap candle. So anybody that got long on this, you know, you may have gotten an initial pump, you know, but then you sold down as the moving averages rolled over, and then that sent you on your way. You got a higher high on this candle. I wonder if we get something like this, possibly, where, you know, maybe Wednesday we come up to the moving averages and have that hammer, and maybe the following 3-day candle we get up just a little bit more up to that trend line, and then get a big red bearish engulfing candle that sends us down. You know, sometimes they get tricky with it like that. I'm going to be watching it, but we'll see how they do it. I mean, they could just dump it now if they want to, like I've said, but sometimes they want to be tricky right before these big moves happen. But I mean, we're already broken out of this pattern. I really don't see us, you know, based on our 2-week candle, our weekly candle, even our 3-week candle, like nothing is saying, hey, we're coming up and we're going higher. We don't have anything, not even a daily candle really to show that, you know, we can come up. The only thing that, you know, shows that we could see strength today is our 11 a.m. Central Time BitTrue view close, which got a green hammer this morning, but, you know, I think that's going to be very temporary, but we'll see what they want to do. Everything's still looking very bearish. Not really impressed with anything at the current moment. It looks like we've broken down, like I've talked about. We should see a leg lower this week. You know, I don't know how much more they want to kind of chop this along the moving averages or maybe play around back up into this trend line. I don't know how they're going to play it, but, you know, we've got pretty much everything we need for them to drop this market down to that target area that I keep talking about, the low 50,000s, you know, 50 to 54,000, you know, there's a trend line right at 49,300. Our measured move is right around 47,200. So, and I think there's a chance we could maybe wick down to 42 on one of my measured moves. So, I mean, there's a lot of different areas down here where I think we could set up and eventually get to sometime in April and bottom down there, potentially. You know, so I think there's definitely some target zones that I'll be looking for. And you know, especially if we get down to this trend line down here, which I have drawn right around this measure move, I'm going to take off my short positions, and I might start averaging into some spot Bitcoin. Just, you know, that's a pretty good price. If you can get sub 50K Bitcoin, I think, you know, I might add a little bit to my spot position on my ledger and do that. You know, it's best just to wait to have more of a bottoming confirmation, but, you know, sometimes I like to be a little greedy and kind of jump in and when I think I see good prices, and that's kind of the area I'm targeting is right down here. And as you can see, here's the prices over here. You know, this is my measure move, and this is where I think we're going to go in April. I think we're gonna make it down here. I really do. Much like this setup we had in here, very similar to this. Everything's kind of going the exact same way. We had the weekly candles up here, and now we got the weekly candles down here. I think we're good to drop it anytime they want to drop this. I just don't know how much longer they want to chop this around for. I'm kind of tired of waiting with the chop fest. It's been such a nightmare to try and trade and get entries in here. I want to see this extended move like this, like big moves down, you know, and just kind of average out, you know, even up here, like big moves down, chop, 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 big moves down. You know, I'm really hoping that we're getting towards the end of our little chop fest and we can start seeing some moves down where I can, you know, move my stop loss to the top of each candle, you know, as we make moves downward. And then, you know, maybe start averaging out as soon as we get closer to my take profit area down here. And then maybe look for reversals, you know. So I think I think we're in for a bearish start to April, assuming we don't move too much before, in the next, 36 hours or whatever. But yeah, I think April we could maybe see that bloodbath down to 50K. I really do. I'm kind of optimistic for it. And then XRP, I kind of same thing where I stand on that. I have my pattern drawn up here. That's the 3-day. Let's go to the daily. And, I have a pretty good sense of that we're going to come down to my area that I talked about, that 90 cent area down here. I've got some really good trend lines drawn for that area. That goes back all the way back here. Let's tighten that actually. Let's go there. Now let's retighten. Let's zoom out. Way down there. Alright, tightened up. There we go. Trend line back here, trend line there, trend line here, trend line here. So that's 4 touches on the bottom. If I zoom in here, touch all the way back here, December of 2024, touch here, February of 25, touch here, April of 25, and then that huge 10-10 wick down, this was October 10th. And then, now we've got the setup in here to come down and test that trend line again. We've broken our pattern. We had 2 kind of things drawn here. We had a trend line coming up here. We broke out of that orange, this little pattern we had here, and then we had like a channel. Kind of, I took like the minor areas of the middle section of the candles, kind of like a lot of touches, like so many touches in this little channel. And we broke out of our bigger little pattern we had drawn here. We broke out of here, and now we're in this little channel thing. And I think if we can, if we get a red daily right here, if this comes down and closes red, this may be game over, like starting tomorrow. It's just going to be interesting with the new monthly open up. Like if we don't get any upper wick on that new monthly and we start dumping, it's going to make me think that we have a chance to come back up within April. But man, if we do get this daily red, candle, like if it comes down and closes red, like I'm going to play it and I'm going to put on size. Same with Bitcoin, and I'll just put my stop at the top of that daily candle, which is right at 1.3663. And then if we don't break the low of the previous day, which is at 1.2937, so if we can close today like right at like $1.30, get that red candle, yeah, I'll put my stop at 1.36, and I'll get in as soon as the break of the previous day, right at 1.2937. As soon as we break the daily low there, I'm getting in with some pretty good size, and we should see that move down. So let's just look at a measured move possibility. Let's take the top of that to the top of this candle like that, and where we broke from, right there. So this takes us down to 98 cents right there. And look where our trend line is, right at around 90 cents, 91 cents, depending on when it gets down here. Another way to draw this is this as a potential measured move. Take the high of the last swing to the lowest swing. Let's see, right around there. And then from where we broke out at, right there. That takes us to what? 67.61. So right in between my 2 trend lines we could come into. That's a heck of a drop. That's like a 50% mover. What is that? Yeah, 52%, 53. something like that. Oh my God, that would be crazy. Maybe we do hit this trend line set up and then wick down and then come back up, chop around and then get up, you know, into the rest of this year. But you know, we've been in this channel for a long time now. This bigger channel I have here, you know, and we really haven't visited the upper trend line in a while. But I do think we're going to break down here, touch this area down here, whether it's right around 90 cents or whatever, somewhere in the 90, 85 to 95 area, just depending on when we get down here. Maybe chop around for a while, maybe do one more touch down maybe in September and then maybe get back up and go. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I mean, XRP is pretty much the same as Bitcoin. XRP is one of the more bearish looking cryptos out there, even though everyone bold posts about it all the time and just pisses me off because they're so full of crap and they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, there's just so many morons out there. You know, morons that, you know, when I first started getting into it, I used to follow and, you know, and I would think that they maybe had some sort of inside information on things, but they're just all full of crap. No one knows anything. You know, this is the only way you can truly, you know, read price action, understand where things are heading. Is this kind of gives you the clues. You know, all you gotta do is go through the weekly, monthly, and dailies and look and see what you got, and that's kind of how you figure it out. And everything is just super bearish. Like, let's turn off our trend lines here on XRP. Like, here's the only bullish thing you got going is the 8's above the 10. Will we come up like Bitcoin, come into those weekly moving averages and then pull them back down? Yeah, I mean, red kind of inverse candle, the 2-week, very bearish candle, very bearish candle, you know, up into the moving averages right here. I mean, we're good to drop off this 2-week. We've chopped, you know, sideways. We got our initial move down. Now we've chopped. Here come the moving averages rolling down. I mean, it's there on this 2-week. This 2-week is gold. We got the red inside 3-week. I mean, this is a unicorn setup to dump off of. We've got the 2 and 3 week. It's here. It's right now. Like, this is, you know, I was thinking maybe this candle because it was inside, but the moving averages were so high up that they gave us this one more 3-week. You know, we broke the high, but we came down and we closed inside without breaking the low of this candle. It's even nicer looking now that the moving averages are even tighter here. It just looks good. I'm gonna have to go in a second. My phone's blowing up, but here's the monthly. You've got a red monthly too. How much lower will we come down in the next 1 day, 8 hours to close this month of March? I mean, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be our 7th. Did I do that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6th candle in a row, you know, red monthly on XRP. I just don't understand what people are thinking that we're going on a huge run here. I mean, 6 months of downward movement on XRP. You know, we don't even have any sort of bullish candle set up at all. Our yearly is terrible. We have that red inverse yearly. Like, it's you know, we are down off of a green candle though. We did start this move down off of a green, and we dropped off of this other green right here. So that's your good news. We did drop off of 2 green candles. So eventually, yes, we will bottom down here somewhere. I don't know, maybe between 80 cents and $1, maybe 70 at worst. I'm thinking 70, 75 cents at worst is our bottom, you know, somewhere down here. Look at these swings that come back here. This area. There's swings here, you know, and swings in here. I mean, that's 75 right there. So I think we'll come down there, get our double bottom, and then maybe get back up. And, you know, what is our... I mean, what could this be, you know, overall? I mean, is this, you know, still a cup and handle? You know, maybe we dip down and then come back up and we get like a handle right here. I mean, I was thinking that maybe that was the handle, but maybe that's too small. Maybe we come back up and we get a cup and handle or something. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Be nice to see if we can close this year strong after we drop, if we can, like all crypto, we've already broken the yearly low, which is exactly what I wanted, and I'm glad we've already done it. I still think we can come down even further, get a little bit more of a lower wick and then come back up and then hopefully get a green hammer without breaking the high of last year, and then we go in 27. Like that's really what I want. But I can't trade for what I want. I got to trade for what I see. And if we're gonna keep going down, I'm gonna keep shorting. Like until they give me any bullish candle to get up off of, I'm not gonna be in longs. I'm just not gonna do it. I don't care what any moron on Twitter is saying. I don't care what insider is posting what. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters are these candles, and the moving averages, and the MACD, and all that good stuff. Volume, I gotta see it first before I turn bullish, and it's just not there yet. We look like we're about to drop into God knows how low. We'll see. I mean, I've got my measured moves, but that's pretty much all I've got. I mean, we're looking like we're about to set up for this move, and I know I've talked about it for a while, and it's been chopping and chopping and chopping, but I think we're about to see this move, one way or another, and I'll do a follow-up video maybe later this week, or we'll see when I get around to it. But I just wanted to give that update that everything still looks good, even 5, 6, 7 days later after I posted that last video. We're still looking good to drop. It's all there. We'll see if we do get a little bit of a rally with the new weekly, opens and new monthly open tomorrow at 7. We'll see how they play it, but we still very bearish out there. We'll update later.